let me start us off. Jay,
Absolutely. What do you got?
A fantastic stat that will make you feel good about the Browns' chances this Sunday.
We need one of those.
Rookie quarterbacks in their first ever NFL playoff game, playing against guys who are not playing their first NFL playoff game,
right,
are 17 and 36. That is less than 1/3 of the time they win.
Is that the stat
it's a good
from
stat.
Cleve, by the way? Is that the Cleve TA stat?
Yes.
That's against the spread. That's not straight
No.
up.
He had straight up and against the spread if you looked it through his tweets.
Well, let's get confirmation on that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 17 and 36, although I think Dan Marino won some as a rookie. Ben Roethlisberger, we've seen it, but the rule is they don't win.
I would go a step further. I'd like to see a rookie head coach.
And a rookie quarterback. Right, because that's the combo. I will say, though, something hit me yesterday when I was watching the beginning of that game.
Bull's right. That is against the spread. They're even worse straight up. So.
No, it was
straight up.
Yeah.
They're even worse against the spread.
No.
He said it was straight up.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're worse against the spread.
They're even worse against the spread.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're both terrible. So the answer is rookie
But we don't care about the spread.
All
We don't care about straight up.
something hit me yesterday when they were talking in the beginning of the game, and they said, or was it 2 days ago that Houston played? Everything's running together now.
Saturday,
Saturday.
2 days ago.
Okay, Saturday. They mentioned at the beginning of the game about what a great atmosphere, and this is a huge atmosphere, and C.J. Stroud hasn't been in that atmosphere. That's completely wrong. If you watched the Georgia-Ohio State game last year, that game had much more atmosphere than that Colts-Texans game ever could have dreamed of. And he's been in that spot.
And Ohio State-Michigan games, he's been in that plenty of times.
Yeah, he is not going to blink on that stage. He's still a rookie.
You count college games?
Well, when you play at that level, they count.
You count?
I don't think a college game is equivalent to an NFL playoff game.
A big-time environment pressure
He's been
game.
in big-time environments, yes.
Okay.
Wait. The Ohio State-Michigan environment is very much an NFL playoff game environment to me.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that.
I mean, you've got more fans. You've got more noise.
I just don't think the pressure is the same.
I don't know. I mean, you'd have to talk to the athlete themselves, I guess, that have been through both sets of that.
I think the vast majority of college games, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
There's a few. I'd say Alabama, Auburn. I'd say Ohio State, Michigan. Any sort
Penn
of
State, Ohio State, at Penn State. That's an atmosphere.
Any sort of college football playoff game, I think rises to the level of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think we ain't been in the playoffs enough to understand that this, you can't, I watched the Bengals and Chiefs a couple years ago. I didn't have a rooting dog in a fight. And I'm like, this is crazy. Go back and watch the Bills versus the Chiefs the other couple of years ago. When guys is going throw for throw, I don't know.
But I will
you've
say,
seen Ohio State, Michigan games
How about
too.
the Eagles in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs? That was crazy.
well, and I was just going to say, I think there's a difference in a championship game.
And you're
And
talking
a
about
wild card
atmosphere.
We're talking about a wild card
Yeah,
first
wild
round
card game.
AFC championship
You guys are
game
talking
is
about
different.
atmosphere. I'm talking about pressure.
And I think
Yeah.
it all kind of boils into this. And by the way, yesterday was a playoff game, or Saturday was a playoff game.
For those two teams.
It was a playoff game. I mean, the winner got in, the loser was going
went
home,
home.
Yeah.
and that's the definition of a playoff game, essentially. But I don't know. I like your stat. I do, because there is something that can be gleaned from that. But I also think in context, and I think we all would agree with this, C.J. Stroud is not your average rookie. I mean, he looked. He's gotten better each week. He damn near threw a perfect game Saturday night. He was impressive. Okay, much more on that throughout the week.
Yeah, we're going to talk plenty of Texans, but real quick, the first hello, guys. And as a reminder, FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. It is undisputed, unquestioned, and even as the regular season wraps up, there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets just by placing a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And the app is so easy to use, and they have so many different ways to bet, including live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the Explorer tab. You can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best way to find popular parlays, and much, much more. The Browns right now, 1.5 favorites over
2.5.
Houston.
Well,
on FanDuel? It's
Yeah,
gone up.
I'm on FanDuel right now. It's 2.5.
I looked this morning. I saw 1.5. It's gone
Wow,
up.
it's already
up
moved
to
a
2.5
point.
on FanDuel. The Browns are favored on the road in Houston. So if you're going to gamble, make sure you're using FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And if you're a new customer, use promo code FanDuel.com/UCSS to get those bonus bets. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL.
Bull, you might know this. I don't know it for sure, but it seems to me that in recent years, this is without looking it up, that the road team in that first wild card division, or that wild card playoff game, they've had a lot of success. At least in my mind, they have. I don't know what the numbers actually
I don't
tell
know that
us.
for a fact either, off the top of my head. But I feel like the same way.
I don't feel like there's a number of. I think there was one, not long ago. There was a year where all the underdogs, the lower seeds, won.
Well, I mean, think about it. In recent years, both South divisions have been bad.
Right.
Now, the AFC South this year is better.
It was.
It's better.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't have a great team. It had 3 good teams.
Really good teams, yeah.
And the NFC South is horrible.
Yeah.
So, the 5th team is going to be the best wild card team. In the AFC case especially, the Browns have played better probably than anybody outside of the Ravens in the AFC.
Yeah.
So, the Browns are, according to Vegas, are the most likely road team to win this week.
Are they really?
The only other road team that is favored is the Eagles over the Bucs. But if you look at betting it on the money line, the Browns are a bigger favorite.
Man,
even though the spread's the same, the Browns are a bigger favorite than the Eagles are on the money line.
What the hell's happened to the Eagles, guys?
They're a mess.
Sirianni's on the hot seat. Buddy of mine that works in Philly said they're not sure he survives if they lose this
Which
game.
is
That's
crazy.
insane.
He was in the Super Bowl
I
and
know,
almost
that's
won the
nuts.
Super
That's
Bowl
totally
last year.
insane if they
Now,
do that.
here's the narrative in Philly, and Steve, our executive producer, is a huge fan, so he could probably chime in on our text chain and we can pass it along. I've got a couple of fans that are diehard Philly fans. One of them I played the baseball tournament with in November down in Florida. He told me at the time the worm is going to turn on the Eagles this season. I said, what? They were like 9-1 at the time, something like that. They had a great season going. He said, the locker room's a mess. There's internal strife. The players are done with Sirianni's act. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm watching it from afar.
Yeah.
He's obviously lives in Florida, but he's a much bigger Eagles fan. My God, they've completely come unglued. And I got text from 2 Eagles friends this morning, and they both said if they lose, they want him out. And that's the general sentiment of the fans. Steve, you can weigh
They
in.
better not lose to the Buccaneers.
But, and that's, I think, it. Because the Buccaneers are widely, I think, considered the worst of all the playoff teams. I think what they're saying is, but God, when you look at what they've done the last couple of weeks, look at what they did yesterday, losing to the Giants.
Yeah, it was
We
bad.
got plenty of time to talk Eagles in a sec. Jay, I got your stat, though. In 2020, the 2020 playoffs, the road teams in the wild card round, 4-0.
Well, that was COVID year.
Yeah.
So there were no fans in the stands. So
That's
a bit of an anomaly.
2021, they went 1-3.
Okay.
In 2022, 2-2. So
there's some success there.
yeah,
I mean,
there is. And I'll keep going back.
What do you
but
mean?
The last 3
There's
years.
6 road teams.
In the first wild card round, the 2 road teams.
Yeah, the last 2. There's 6. There were 6 road games. There's 6 games in the
I'm
first
just looking at the
round.
first round, wild card round.
Yeah,
Road
there's
teams in
6
the wild-
games.
yeah, but there's also there's.
Can't be 2
What
and
are you
2.
saying?
There's 6.
Is this what is this the first year though that the one
No.
just the one gets the bye?
No, it's been at least 2, if not 3 years.
Okay,
I
got
Oh,
it.
I'm just not. I wasn't counting that one game. I got to redo it then. I was just
Okay.
counting the
Yeah,
the
because
4
they're-
or 5. I see what you're saying, Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you would. Oh, okay.
He's looking just the wild card teams.
I was looking at the 4 teams in the divisional round, not the. So in 2022, this was last year.
Yeah, first
all
round.
3 higher seeds in the AFC won,
Okay.
and 2 of the 3 lower seeds in the NFC won. The Giants upset the Vikings. Dallas upset Tampa Bay.
That was
last
a 4 or
year-
5 game last
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
2021. So I just wasn't counting the one game.
Right,
Tampa
right.
Bay. In 2021, all 3 AFC home teams won, and 2 of the 3 home teams in the NFC won.
Okay, so 5 out of 6 2 years ago.
And then do you want to do the COVID year, or should I go back to 19?
Nah, COVID year
Nah,
probably won't
forget
tell
it.
us much
I
because there
don't
were no
think 19
fans.
19,
I mean,
don't
the
think it's-
Browns were a lower seed in 20, and they won
Right.
at Pittsburgh.
Yep.
But again, with no fans, you really
Yeah,
lose
yeah,
that
yeah,
home
yeah.
field advantage. It doesn't play
And in
much.
2020, just to throw it out there, this is when there was only 2 wild card games.
Yeah.
In 2019, 3 of the 4 lower seeded wild card teams won.
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah.
So
you
there
are
is,
right.
you know-
There is precedent to.
Yeah,
give road
it
teams
feels
win
in
the
my
first
mind,
round.
it feels like I remember a lot of lower seeds winning in that first round. And hey, I mean, I think the Browns being favored by 2.5 points
Yeah.
tells us that Vegas thinks they're the better team.
By the
too.
way, just a little nugget for people to pay attention to. I think this is very unlikely, but if all 3 AFC wildcard teams win this weekend, the Browns will host the Steelers next week.
Wow.
You know, in two weeks.
Yeah.
So you mean the Dolphins and the Steelers got to win?
If the Browns, Dolphins, and Steelers all win, the Browns will host the Steelers because
Right.
the Dolphins will go to Baltimore. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. That was going to be if the Bills lost. Bad job out of me. The
Right, strike that from the record.
Strike that. That was if the Bills had lost. The Browns would play the Dolphins, which I still don't have a problem with.
But it would be at home.
It would be at home, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
It'd
your
still be at home,
point is if all of the road teams win, the Browns then, by reseeding virtue,
Yes.
get a home game.
They would host Miami.
But if by some fluke of nature the Ravens lose the next game and the Browns win,
yes.
then the Browns would host an AFC Championship game. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Then they would host the Steelers.
Yeah, let's not get. Yeah, because it would have to be the Steelers. Yeah, let's not get ahead of
on
ourselves.
this matchup against Houston, though, guys. What are your initial thoughts? We all said on Friday of the three
Yeah.
AFC
What do we
South
think?
teams, that was the least one we wanted to face. Now it's the reality. I don't think anyone's scared. It's about the Texans.
Do we still agree with that? By the
But-
way, after watching this weekend,
100%.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
yeah. I mean, the Texans to me look like the team you don't want to.
I was so hoping the Jaguars would pull that game out because they looked terrible.
Oh,
They looked. Kudos to Vrabel, who had his guys ready to go in that game.
Trevor Lawrence was terrible yesterday.
But Trevor Lawrence
He
was
was.
terrible. But
he regressed.
he hit Ridley on that final drive.
He
That
was
should have
open.
been a touchdown.
Yeah, he was
Yep.
open.
And Ridley dropped the ball. Now they still would
They
have
got to have
to
a get a two-point conversion,
and
right?
then win an overtime.
But still, it would have been fun to see what happened.
But yes, it's so funny because both Mike and I got accused of being afraid of the Texans. Nobody's afraid of the
No.
Texans. It's just that if I had my choice, I'd rather them play.
It's the team
Colts.
we'd least likely
Exactly.
want to see.
The Browns are still favored for a reason. The Browns are a better team. You know, and I mean,
Who
listen.
was missing for the Texans when we played them? Because
Well, Stroud, most important.
no, but they had a big defensive player that was
Yes.
missing as
Will
well.
Anderson didn't
Will-
play. Blake Cashman didn't play.
And,
Jonathan Greener.
Will
went out in
Anderson
the
got
first
hurt
play.
late in the game yesterday. Do we have an update on him?
Not yet.
And their leading sack guy
Jonathan Greener played like
left
4
the game
plays.
early.
he got hurt against the Browns. Yeah.
So I mean, it was a blowout. I mean, Houston ended up getting some late
Yeah.
stuff, but in the fourth quarter of that game, that was one of those
Yeah.
comfort games that you weren't worried about.
Right. But there's a big difference between C.J. Stroud and Case Keenum.
Yes, but
Yeah.
my point there where I was leading was C.J. Stroud
Yeah.
doesn't play defense, but
Right.
they were missing some key defensive pieces too.
I think that's the difference ultimately. I mean, I think that in my opinion, the Browns and Texans are pretty close offensively. I mean, obviously C.J. Stroud is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but Joe Flacco is playing great. So I think their offenses are close, but I think the Browns are way better defensivally than the Texans, which is why ultimately I like the Browns to win.
I agree with that.
No Tank Dell for Houston. That's
Yeah.
a big loss for
Yep.
them. I don't know if Amari's going for 265 in a
Yeah,
in this
right.
playoff
Well,
game.
right.
I don't know that he needs to go for 265.
No, he doesn't probably.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. I just wanted to first touch on, is there anything that you saw this weekend that would change our minds? I didn't.
no.
I think Houston is still the team that I would like to see least, but that's the deal. That's who we have. We're going to break down the nuances and all the matchups of this game in general, but let's just get a treetop view of what we think between the healthy Texans with C.J. Stroud and the Browns. Not necessarily predictions. We can save all that for Friday. But what kind of game are you looking for? Is this going to be a high-scoring game, low-scoring game? G. Bush, what do you see?
Man, I see a vets versus rookie game. I see what I'm looking forward to is, that level of we kick it up a notch. We see what the regular season is. We talk about it in basketball all the time. How your top playmakers come ready to play, and in this game you got a couple of guys who have been talking about for years what it is to be in the playoffs, for what it is to be able to be at that highest level and to go out there and compete compete for championships. Guys like Joe Bitonio, guys like Myles Garrett, guys like Denzel Ward, even guys like Amari Cooper and people like that. Y'all been waiting for this. Y'all been talking about how this is what you wanted. This is how we gonna go get it. And now you here, and this is why I could care less about C.J. Stroud. You meaning to tell me, Myles Garrett, you got a 12-year-old back there? He just got a library card. Like, he talking about big time. These guys talk about Alabama versus Auburn and Michigan versus, y'all grown-ass men paying all kind of taxes. Y'all got wives, kids, mortgages, second homes, and you running around here telling me about Will Anderson? Come on, bro. You should feel disrespected that people is putting up 18 and 19-year-old kids against y'all. They still living with their parents on their rookie deal, and these dudes is talking about you. Listen, you got C.J. Stroud. Hey, listen, I welcome C.J. Stroud every single week and twice on Sunday. Like, I'm gonna tell you what, you got John. We already got did dirty by John Elway back in the day when he was young Elway. We're not worried about that. Yeah, young Elway.
Wow.
That's what people talk about C.J. Stroud like he's young Elway. They be like, listen, you don't want to see no smoke with C.J. Stroud. But guess what? It's an opportunity for y'all to do something. Y'all been crying for it for years. Let's go out here and get it done. We on the road. You playing a nice little team full of young puppies. They're 4 years old. Let's go get this win, get to the next week.
That's probably the most vociferous smack talk I've heard about this matchup yet. I know it's just Monday.
Nah,
but that's him laying
see
it
what
down.
Thursday and Friday brings.
Bro, it's playoff week. It's playoff
Hey,
week.
listen, G is
Y'all
fired
better
up.
wake
He
up.
hasn't got to see the Browns play in the playoffs very often, so I get it.
Y'all better wake up. Like this, I'm not going to be around here waiting. I didn't have grandparents die waiting on this game, and we tell them about C.J. Stroud. Is he going to come in here?
Let's just hope that the
No,
Browns mentality
no.
isn't that.
Hey, look.
If you disrespect this young pup who's still living with his mom and he's 4,
That's how we going to go. That's how we giving it
young
up.
pups have been known to stand up and smack old veterans in the face before I've seen it.
I haven't seen it very often.
I do think there's something to be said for the veteran, the experience that Joe Flacco has. We know for certain the moment will not be too big for him. Do I think the moment's going to be too big for C.J. Stroud? I don't. But we don't know that because he's never been in this situation
Yeah.
before.
I
know that Joe Flacco is not
Saturday
going to
night wasn't too big for him.
No, it wasn't.
And
But
he was going against grown men, paychecks, and
I hear you. This
mortgages.
is-
We did not see Myles Garrett out there. I saw a bunch of blue jerseys. They have no playmakers for the Indianapolis Colts. And Jim Schwartz, guess what? You're going to have to earn that check too. I expect to see super duper pressure.
C.J. Stroud has never seen a defense this good in his life. Never.
No.
Nothing
He has
even
not.
nothing even close. So that matters. That definitely matters. I'm not disrespecting C.J. Stroud,
Good player.
but I'm certainly not afraid of him either. He is still a rookie. I think
And
that doesn't matter.
I hope that's the attitude the Browns staff
Yeah.
and players have.
Yeah.
You fear no one, but
No one.
certain guys earn
Of
your
course
respect.
they're gonna have respect
and he has
for him.
earned their respect, no
course.
question.
Cecil Shorts already said it. Now, listen, I'm going to make this up. This bulletin board. I need Cecil, and I need to see where he at. Where's Jonathan Wells at, too? I know they picking him. They picking these Texans over the Browns. They done already said C.J. Stroud is that guy. I need them on McNuggets. They need to tell me where they picking at.
We're trying to get Cecil on tomorrow. Stand by.
I'll
We're
ask
working.
Jonathan right now. who
Ask
he
Jonathan.
picked.
I know he doing that stuff down there with the Texans. Yeah.
I would look at Monday at 11:20 in the morning. If you want to give me one category or one stat to look at that's going to tell the story of the game, give me turnovers. The Browns lead the league in turnovers. The Texans have turned it over the fewest amount of times. So Houston's only turned it over 14 times all year. The Browns have given it away 37 times.
That's an impressive stat, by the way. The 14 turnovers?
Yeah, only 14 turnovers all year long.
Yeah.
Now, not all 37 are on Flacco, but we know Joe will flip it around a little bit on occasion. So now the flip side with Joe is much like with Josh Allen. Whatever he gives you, he's going to take it back in a later drive. So he does have that ability. But this is one game where I just worry about being sloppy with the football, being on the road in a road environment in a playoff game. If you start giving them a short field to work on, yes, this defense is elite, no question about it. But the one thing you don't want to do is help them and start giving them first down on the plus side of the field. Give them possession at the 30, 35, 20,
Right.
whatever it is. That's the one thing that I think could really doom the Browns. So the Browns defense is very good at taking it away. Houston is not giving it away. So I think turnovers could really tell a
The
story.
turnover story for the Browns is such an interesting one, too, because they're near the bottom, if not, I think they're in probably the last 7 or 8 in turnover differential. It's very odd that you would have a team get to 11 wins and they're close to double digits in turnover differential.
Yeah.
They take it away as much as anyone in the league, but they also give it away as much as anyone in the league. And as we know from history in playoff games, it's all about the teams that play the clean games. If you play a clean game and you don't give it away, your chances of winning go up dramatically. If you're gifting the team the ball 2-3 times during the game, you make, especially on the road, the degree of difficulty skyrockets.
Yep.
And when the stat that I saw that really caught my eye this week on the Texans was the turnovers. They, particularly with having a rookie quarterback, they take care of the rock.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about Houston? I was just looking over their schedule again. They've only played 4 teams that made the playoffs this
And
year.
the Browns, it seems like, have played 8.
And 2 of the 4 teams they've played that made the playoffs are the 2 worst teams, Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay.
What's their record in those 4?
They beat Pittsburgh and Tampa.
They
They
lost
lost
to
to the Browns, and they lost to the Ravens.
Okay.
Now, in fairness, that loss to the Ravens was the first game of the year. but they got smoked.
And that loss to Tampa, I had already decided that
it.
C.J. Stroud was the guy. Was like, Troy Aikman said an interesting thing on the broadcast over the weekend. He said, when you draft a quarterback in the first, as a rookie, particularly high, your objective for the rookie season is to know that he's your franchise guy moving forward.
Yeah.
I already thought that C.J. Stroud was that guy before the Buccaneers game. When I saw what he did to that Bucs defense with 35 seconds or whatever it was, after Baker scored the touchdown to give the Bucs the lead, when he drove the team down the field on like 4 plays and all 4 throws were unbelievable, it was obvious at that moment he is that guy moving forward.
Now, the Texans have beaten a lot of decent teams. They got wins, as I said, over Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Jacksonville. Those are all solid middle-of-the-road teams.
How many
but they
playoff
went
teams have the
0-2
Browns
against legit Super Bowl contenders.
What's the Browns? How many playoff teams have the Browns played? Seems like 8
I
to
think
me.
it's, I
I
believe
mean,
it's
Baltimore,
9.
Pittsburgh, San Francisco,
Well,
they
Houston.
4 in the division. You have the 4 playoff teams in the division.
They played
They
the
also
Rams,
played
the 49ers, that's 6.
The Seahawks. The Seahawks
Just didn't get in.
Denver didn't get in.
The Rams.
I said the Rams
got in.
and the Niners, that's 6.
It's just 6. And Houston 7. Houston 7.
Houston, oh, yeah.
And they lost to the Rams. They lost to the Steelers. They lost to the Ravens. So they're 4 and 3.
And look how many teams they played that just didn't barely get in.
Well, the same thing with the Texans.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams this year that just barely missed.
But you look at it. You played the Ravens twice. You played the Steelers twice.
Yeah.
Even you take a look at the Bengals. You played them twice. They really didn't. Make the playoffs. But still
Bengals
a
are
team.
if you added a 17th team, there's 14 teams in the playoffs. If you added one extra team, it would be the Bengals. They have the lowest draft pick of the remaining teams. So if you want to give more credibility there, that's fine.
I look at, when I like playoffs, I like to see, I'm looking at him right now, and I like Nico Collins. I like what he did. I thought the coach should have doubled down on him a little bit.
I was getting killed. I put out a podcast last night, and I thought it would be I didn't think it would be as viewed as much as my other podcast after games, but it had a ton of views, and I was like, and then I noticed there were some Texans fans ripping me in the chat.
Yeah.
Because I said that Nico Collins is a good, not great wide receiver. Which I think is fair. He's good.
Fair. I like him.
He ain't great.
He's not elite.
No. Schultz, I like him. But here's the thing. When you look at guys who you can say on your team and you break it down, you say, okay, who the Texans got? Who do the Texans have that can just go to the next level? Now, if C.J. Stroud go to the next level, he want to just become him overnight. All right, then. Like, he's just going to become him. But you look at what the Browns can do with their corners. He's going to see a very high dose of man-to-man coverage with guys coming off the edge. I think Okoronkwo coming back is a thing. He didn't really do much in the game against the Bengals, but
the fact that he played, I understand why he played, because he wanted to get used to wearing the harness.
And smart.
That was smart.
Yeah,
the Browns basically, I thought the game plan was perfect.
I thought they used their starters and backups perfectly.
I was surprised they used Ford. I guess they felt they had to when Pierre Strong got hurt.
Yep. I liked all of that.
But with the guys we expected to play and didn't expect to play, we were mostly on point.
And
with
David Bell emerging now as a superstar wide receiver certainly is a good.
No, hold on.
That was all garbage time.
I'm gonna say this.
I kid, Bull.
I'm gonna say this. I'd rather see David Bell than Cedric Tillman. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, Tillman's rating my last pass.
Tillman is out here cutting routes off. Every time I see him, he's looking back for these penalty flag, getting pushed out of bounds by somebody half his size, and we throwing interceptions.
That first interception, it looked like Tillman was arguing with the ref before the play was over.
He was
giving up. He gave up.
He gave up on it.
What are you doing?
That?
You can't give up. And this is the 3rd or 4th time we've seen this from Tillman. I can't do it.
And that he's heard this from the coaching staff. He's had to because we're seeing it on our TVs. I don't know how much leash you give a guy like that.
He's got to work on this in the offseason.
He's in concussion protocol now anyway,
and he's
it's a moot point.
The Browns come on, Cole Jarvis, let's go, bring him in.
I wouldn't mind it.